Welcome to this, our AAT session for LSBF TV. I hope you like my fancy t-shirt. Brand new on today. Very exciting, very excited to wear it. My only issue with it is I think it makes my arms look rather pale. So I'm not sure who chose the colour. Whoever our fashion consultant is, I think needs some work. My name is David Laws. I'm going to write that down in case I forget who I am. It's been a long afternoon. And my name is David Laws, and we are going to be working through task 3. So task 3. And in task 3, there are a number of different things that we need to look at. There are a number of different things that we need to think about. So first of all, let's just get an idea. Let's just have a read through the requirement to see what it is that we actually need to do. So first of all, we need to complete some gaps in a table. We need to calculate the total labour cost. That sounds like that shouldn't be too difficult. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And then we need to calculate the total labour cost of packing each box. Now again, one of the things that you need to do in the costing paper, in the MMAC paper, you need to read very carefully exactly what it is that you're being asked to calculate. So in this case, it's the cost of packing of each box. Then we will need to look at some pay, we will need to look at some overtime, we will need to have a calculation of a bonus for each particular person. So, let's see what information that we've got. So first of all then, we are told that there are 5 employees each working in a team. Now that's going to become relevant a little bit later. I already know that it says it again, but it says I need a bonus payable to each team member, because presumably we will begin by saying this is what they earn altogether. And then I'll have to look at how much it's going to be per person. I am also told their basic rate, which is £12 per hour. And I'm also told on top of that, that there's 2 different overtime rates. So I will need to know how many hours we have at the basic rate. I will need to know how many hours we have at each of the overtime rates. Otherwise, I won't be able to work out how much it is altogether. Finally, we're told about the bonus. Right, I've got yellow, I've got green, I've got blue. What other colour? Oh, let's have purple. Let's make this it's Friday afternoon. Let's make this really colourful. We also have a bonus. And the bonus is not based on hours anymore, like the overtime is. The bonus instead is based on the number of boxes that they pack compared to the target. And here we've got the target. And then we've got the actual. So just first of all, be careful that there'll be some things that we are doing which are based on time, hours. There'll be some things that we are doing that are based on units, which is the bonus. Just be careful you don't get mixed up between the two. It's very easy to do that, to get mixed up between the two. Now, I think whenever we are doing a question like this, the first thing we need to do is make very clear exactly what it is that we are being asked to do. So, for example, when we are looking at task A, we are simply being asked to say, how much will it cost them to pay the overtime at rate 1? How much will it cost the company? How much will it cost the employer? How much will it cost them to pay the overtime of rate 1? How much will it cost them to pay the overtime at rate 2? Now, what you might get asked instead what it could say instead is it might say, first of all, just work out everything you need to pay them, and then out of that, how much extra is it for rate 1 and how much extra is it for rate 2. Now what I'll do is I'll illustrate that again when we go through it, but you need to read the question carefully. This question simply says, how much will you pay them all together? Overtime rate 1, overtime rate 2. What it could say is, how much extra, what's the extra little bit you pay them in rate 1? What's the extra little bit you pay them in rate 2? And we get a different answer for that. So just be careful as to what exactly it is asking you to do. Right, let's have a look then. So first of all, we have got the fact that at Crest Paints, we are paid a basic rate of £12 per hour. How many hours do we work? Basic pay 700. So 700 times 12, we will pay £8,400 in basic pay. Hopefully that's okay. And now we have overtime rates. Now the first thing then we've got overtime rate 1, 60 hours. Fine. How much do we pay them? Well, let's see what it says. It says the overtime for rate 1 is basic pay plus 50%. Now there's two ways you can do this. You do this whichever way you find easier. Both of these ways are, you get exactly the same answer. You do whichever one works for you. So this is overtime rate 1. So either 60 hours, because that's how many hours it is, times 12, because that's the basic pay, is 720. And then it says on top of that, it is the basic rate plus 50%. Right, okay. Well, 50% of 720 is another 360, and so that's 1,080, and that's one way you can do it. If that works for you, then absolutely fine. Or second way you can do it is overtime rate. This is overtime rate 1. Overtime rate 1, 60 times 12 times. Now again, you might not like this method. If you don't like this method, that is absolutely fine. You do what works for you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work out how much they get paid an hour. Well, they get paid £12. That's their normal rate. That's 100% of what they normally earn. And then they get paid 50% on top of that. So in other words, you get paid your normal rate plus an extra 50%, which means that you're actually being paid £18 an hour. You're being paid the 12 you would normally get plus an extra 50%, so plus an extra £6 per hour. And that, 60 times 18, by an amazing coincidence, is also 1,080, because it's the same calculation, just done in a different way. You do whichever one you prefer. What I would say to everybody, is whichever method you use, and I don't care what method you use, it's absolutely fine. What you use whatever method you're comfortable with, but do like I've done and write it all down, even if you think it's very obvious. There may be some of you who are saying, why do all that? It's obvious. 6 times 12 times 150% or whatever. You've got a method and it's fine. The trouble is, when it's obvious, that's when you get things wrong in the exam, because it's so obvious you don't do it carefully. Trust me, I've been there. I've done that. I've made stupid mistakes. I do them in class as well. I still make mistakes in class because, oh, that's obvious. And it's like, oh, hang on a second. I'm a big believer in writing as many things down as possible, because the more you write down, it makes you go slower. And if you go slower, you think about it more carefully. So I think writing things down is a good idea, personally. There's no point in the assessment in having something that you know you can do, and then getting it wrong because you try to do it too quickly. Good afternoon. Now I'm not sure how to. I've got somebody who Courage Canyonganese. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Courage. I'm sure I didn't. I'm sure I got that wrong. But welcome to you, and welcome to everybody else that's watching out in Facebook land. I've never used Facebook, so I've no idea how it works. But welcome to you and to anybody else who is watching. I hope you're having an enjoyable Friday afternoon. So, overtime rate 1, however you calculate it, overtime rate 1, and I do it simply like that, because that to me is the easiest way of doing it. 12 times 150%, you've got to pay them the basic rate, then they get 50% on top, so that's 150%, means they're going to get 1,080. Okay? But if you want to do it a different way, you do it a different way, I don't mind. Whatever you want to do. As long as you do it correctly, I don't mind. Right, we now have overtime rate 2. Overtime rate 2 is double the rate of basic pay. Now this one, I think, to a certain extent, is more obvious. And strangely enough, people will get this one correct and they'll get overtime rate 1 wrong. What a lot of students do wrong with overtime rate 1 is they look at the extra that you're being paid. So in other words, with overtime rate 1, what a lot of people will do is they'll just look at the 360 and they'll forget that you actually still need to pay them their basic wages as well. So a lot of people look at the extra bit, the premium bit, and forget about the basic bit. Yep. So we're not going to make that mistake. Overtime rate 2, I think, is easier because it simply says you get paid a double normal rate. Okay, so we have got 30 hours. Normal rate is 12, which is 360, and then obviously we're multiplying it by 2, 720. So 360. So we've got 30 times 12 times 2, and that is 720. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself, why, David, why not just do 30 times 12 times 2? Why do it in 2 rows? Well, the reason why I've done it in 2 rows is the same reason I did the top one in 2 rows. Because in each of them, the top row is the basic pay and the second row is the premium. Now that's important because the examiner might ask you, the assessment might say, split it into the basic and the premium. The basic is what they get anyway, 60 times 12. The premium is the extra bit, it's the extra 50% they get on top. With overtime rate 2, the basic is the 30 times 12. It's the £12 per hour they earn as their basic salary. And then the premium is the 720 they earn on top of that. Now that's important because, as you are probably aware, those are treated differently in the costing accounts. And so one is an overhead and one isn't. Now again, that's getting beyond what we need for task 3, but you might be asked to split it like that instead. So just be aware that the £12, however many hours, that's the basic bit. Everything else is treated as a premium and it's treated differently in the accounts. So I just thought I would mention that. That's why although it's slow, it's quite a good way to do it like this, just to make that clear in your mind. But the answer we need is simply how much did they pay them. So we have got the total cost before the bonus, 8,400 plus 1,080 plus 720. That comes to 10,200. So that's the cost before the bonus that we've got there. Now we have the bonus payment. Now one of the things that you will notice is for the bonus payment, the hours has been blanked out because obviously the bonus payment isn't based on hours. It's based on units. So what we need to do is we need to look at the bonus payment. Again, even if you think the calculation is incredibly easy, it's still quite a good idea to write it out. That's again, I've seen too many people who should pass assessments rushing because they think something is particularly easy and getting it wrong because they're rushing. So again, writing it down slows you down, and slowing you down sometimes is quite a good idea. Not always, I appreciate that, but in lots of circumstances it is. So the bonus payment. The bonus payment then, remember, is based on how many boxes they packed above the target. Well, the target was 2475 and they actually packed 2775. So the bonus payment is based on the excess boxes. Now, just as I have said to you, write everything down, the other thing that I would say to you is do one bit at a time. Don't try and do everything in one go. That's sort of what I was doing here. I was saying, there's the basic, there's the basic, there's the premium. There's the basic, there's the premium. I was doing it in lots of little stages. Yeah, if you try and do one very complicated question, you'll end up getting it wrong because you'll make a silly mistake somewhere. So let's do it to break it down. So first of all, let's just work out the excess boxes. So they actually packed I've forgotten what the number was now. I'm so busy talking. I forgot what the number was. 2775, 2475 was the target. All right, so 2775 minus 2475. So 300 boxes is the excess. And now let's work out the amount per box. Again, I'm just doing one thing at a time so I can do it slowly and I can try and concentrate on doing one bit correctly. The amount per box, it says a bonus equal to 25% of the basic hourly rate is payable for every box in excess of the target. So the amount per box is going to be 25% of the basic hourly rate, and the basic hourly rate was £12. So in other words, we're going to pay them £3 per box. Again, I hope nice and straightforward. So put that together, that means the bonus payment will be 300 boxes, £3 per box, 900. Yep. Now, let me just put that number in first, so that's 900. So we've got that, and then that gives us the total cost, including the bonus, simply 10,200 plus 900 comes to 11,100. Now, again, I just believe in doing things slowly, and it also, writing it all down means on your calculator you do one bit at a time. I have got 300 times £3. One number simply multiplied by another number. Now the reason I mention this, and I'll do this in a different colour, is if you try and do it all in one go, 2775 minus 2475 times 3, what your calculator might do, because this is the way that some calculators will do things. In fact, to be honest with you, if I get what you'll type into your calculator is this, because you won't put brackets in, you'll do that. You'll do 2775 minus 2475 times 3. And what your calculator thinks that you are doing, because this is mathematically what you have done, is it thinks you're going to do 2775 minus 2475 times 3. So what it thinks you want to do is take 2775 minus round about 7,300. 2475 times 3, subtracted from 2775. That's the way mathematically, because what you do is mathematically, you always do your multiplying first. So the calculator thinks, oh, you want to do 3 lots of 2475, whatever that comes to, take it away from 2275. Now, not only will you get a very strange answer, because your bonus will be negative, which will look a bit weird, but also, I don't know about you, but if I'm in the assessment, that's going to throw me completely. Like, what? What's going on there? So, if you do want to do it in one go, which is fine, if you do want to do it in one go, 2775 minus 2475 equals, and then multiply by the 3. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, even worse, what I suppose I could have put in is you could have done 2775 minus 2475 times 25% times 12. And I've got no idea what you'll end up with there. You'll end up with a very strange, you'll end up with a very, very peculiar number there. So putting the equal sign in effect means just do that bit in the brackets and whatever you get now multiply it by 3. So if you do want to do it in one go, make sure you keep pressing the equal sign as you go along. Otherwise your calculator will think you want to do something different. That again is why I like to end up with just having things to multiply or just having things to add and subtract. I don't like mixing the two because the calculator gets confused. So when I say the calculator gets confused, I get confused as well. Don't want me getting confused. Yeah, I get confused. I mean, that's not a good thing. So do it nice and slowly. Again, I'd rather you do it slowly and get it right than try and rush it because you think it's easy and get it wrong. So we've ended up then, we've filled out part A. Yeah, I don't think there's anything difficult there, but again, you just need to think about this. And like I say, if it was to say, what's the basic pay, and then what's the premium, what we would have then, the basic pay would simply be all of the hours. So what we've actually got here, basic pay is 790 times 12, all of the hours at the basic rate, and then you've got overtime rate 1, the premium is the extra bit that we're paying there, which was the 360, and the overtime rate 2 premium, the extra bit that we're paying there is the 720, and that will add up to 10,200. Now, I do apologise, I didn't work out what 790 times 12 is. And I still can't do it. 96, that's going to be something like 120, it's going to be, I don't know. It's Friday afternoon and my brain's gone. I think it's 9480. I think, but it's been a long day. That may not be right. So the idea is, that's why I put a question mark there. But if you had to break into basic and the premiums, then it's everything at £12, all the hours at £12, and then the extra little bits that you get. But it'll add up to the same numbers. But just be careful what they're asking you to calculate. Final little bit that we've got. Calculate the total labour cost of packing each box. Well, we had 11,100. That's the total cost we had. And we packed, the actual figure was 2,775, which gives me £4 each. Nice and easy. The following sentence, the basic pay and overtime for each member of Team 3 was the basic pay and overtime, 10,200. For each member, remember there's 5 people in the team, 2,040. The bonus payable to each person, we worked out the bonus was 900, split between the 5 people is 180. Yeah. So there we go. So I hope that you have found it helpful to work through that particular unit. I hope you found it helpful to work through that particular unit. You can see the key thing is making sure you are fully aware of what it is you are being asked to actually calculate and doing it very slowly. That's the key thing. Do it slowly, get it right, rather than rushing it. Thank you ever so much for watching LSB TV this afternoon. I hope you found it helpful. As I said at the beginning, my name is David Laws, and I look forward to seeing you again in a future episode. Until then, enjoy your weekend.